It's 4:01 p.m. on January 26, 1972. 6 miles above Czechoslovakia, a flight attendant in a turquoise uniform moves through the cabin of JAT Flight 367. 46 minutes out of Copenhagen, heading to Zagreb. In the baggage compartment, a timer reaches 0. A flash, a roar. The McDonnell Douglas DC-9 tears itself apart at 33,000 feet. 27 people die immediately, sucked into the sub-zero void. But one woman, trapped in twisted metal, begins a different journey. Vesna Vulovic is about to fall 6 miles without a parachute. She'll plummet for 3 minutes and 23 seconds at over 100 miles per hour. And when she hits the earth, she'll do something physics says is impossible. She'll survive. This isn't a story about luck. It's about the exact moment when fate, physics, and flesh collide. And somehow, against every law of nature and probability, create a miracle. Vesna wasn't supposed to be flying that day. Born in Belgrade in 1950, she'd spent 8 months as a flight attendant after seeing a friend in uniform and thinking, why shouldn't I be an air hostess? She had chronically low blood pressure, disqualifying for the job. But she wanted it so badly that on exam day she drank coffee until her heart raced. It worked. On January 25th, she wasn't scheduled for Flight 367. JAT Airways confused her with another Vesna, but she didn't mind. She'd never seen Denmark. The crew in Copenhagen seemed wrong. The captain locked himself in his room for 24 hours. The others just sat in the hotel. Something felt dark, but Vesna was too excited to notice. At boarding, she noticed one passenger who seemed furious. He checked his bag but never reboarded. I think he put the bomb in the baggage, she'd later say. 46 minutes after takeoff, her suspicion became real. The briefcase bomb in the luggage compartment detonated at 33,000 feet. The explosion tore the DC-9 into 3 pieces. The cabin became a vacuum. Passengers ripped from seats, but Vesna got pinned. A food cart, thrown by the explosion, slammed her into the fuselage midsection. She was trapped in the middle of the aircraft, one leg inside, head outside. The cart became her anchor. As 27 souls scattered to the winds, Vesna began falling. Trapped in twisted metal, spinning through clouds at terminal velocity, minus 60 degrees. Air too thin to breathe. You should die in seconds. But Vesna's weakness became salvation. The low blood pressure that almost cost her the job caused her to pass out immediately. Her heart slowed. Her body entered protective hibernation. She fell unconscious through the death zone. For 3 minutes, the fuselage plummeted. Not straight down. It tumbled and spun, creating air resistance. Like a falling leaf, the wreckage spiraled through winter sky. Below, Czechoslovak mountains covered in deep snow, dense forests on the slopes. By pure chance, Vesna's section headed directly for both. The fuselage crashed into woods near Srpska Kamenez at a favorable angle. Trees absorbed initial impact. Deep snow cushioned the blow. The slope distributed force. 1 in a billion landing. Change any variable, angle, trees, snow depth, and Vesna dies. But every element aligned perfectly. Inside the wreckage, Vesna Vulovic lay broken but breathing. Bruno Honka heard screaming. A woodsman who'd been a World War II medic, he found her in the blood-soaked turquoise uniform, stiletto heels torn off. Using battlefield training, he kept her alive until rescuers arrived. Her injuries: fractured skull, 3 broken vertebrae, 1 crushed completely, 2 broken legs, fractured pelvis, multiple broken ribs, cerebral hemorrhage, paralyzed from waist down. She should have died on impact, from blood loss, from shock. But Vesna refused every should. For 27 days, she lay comatose. When she woke, she remembered nothing. Not boarding, explosion, fall, or rescue. Her hospital room had 24-hour police guard. Authorities feared the Croatian terrorists might try finishing what they'd started. The Ustash had carried out 128 terror attacks against Yugoslavia between 1962-1982. 10 months later, Vesna walked again. Permanent limp, spine forever twisted, but walking. By September 1972, 9 months after falling from the sky, she wanted to return as a flight attendant. Jat gave her a desk job instead, but Vesna had no fear of flying. How could she fear what she couldn't remember? She became Yugoslavia's national hero. President Tito honored her. Folk singer Miroslav Ilić wrote Vesna Stewardesa. Bruno Honka named his granddaughter after her. In 1985, Paul McCartney presented her the Guinness World Record for surviving the highest fall without parachute and 10,160 meters. For the Beatles fan from Belgrade, having a Beatle acknowledge her survival felt almost as surreal as surviving. But fame couldn't cure what lived inside. Whenever I think of the accident, I have a prevailing, grave feeling of guilt for surviving, she said. Maybe I shouldn't have survived at all. 27 died, parents, children, colleagues. Why her? Why did physics bend for one flight attendant from Belgrade? In the 1990s, Jat fired her for protesting Milosevic's government. I am like a cat with 9 lives, she said. But if nationalist forces prevail, my heart will burst. The woman who survived the impossible couldn't survive staying silent. When asked if she felt lucky, I'm not lucky. If I were lucky, I'd never have had this accident. December 23, 2016. Vesna found dead in her Belgrade apartment, age 66. She'd been living alone with cats, struggling with heart problems. The woman who fell from the sky finally returned to it on her own terms. Vesna Vulovic's story breaks the brain. Terminal velocity for a falling human, 120 miles per hour. Impact at that speed liquefies organs, powders bones, tears the aorta from the heart. But sometimes, maybe once in history, the universe aligns every variable perfectly. Explosion at exact spot. Food cart pins at precise angle. Perfect snow depth. Trees at exact height. Slope at mathematical angle for survival. Change any factor by a fraction, and it's just another aviation tragedy. Instead, it became proof that impossible is just a word for exceptions we haven't seen yet. Right now, someone's boarding a plane. Nervous about turbulence, about the margin between Earth and sky. They don't know that once, just once, someone fell from cruising altitude and lived. Not because of parachutes or training, but because sometimes the universe makes mistakes in our favor. Sometimes physics looks away, sometimes death blinks. And in that blink, that cosmic hesitation, a flight attendant in turquoise falls 33,000 feet through winter sky, and lives